Hey
I really hope.
neighbours.
Is it
I
is
don't
it your
know.
neighbours or is it within your household?
No, it's us.
It's you.
I don't
Okay.
I don't quite know what. I'm sure
Okay.
I'll enjoy finding a way of making it not audible on a podcast.
The
It's just the
pain.
challenges we live with. Oh, what a day to be alive. I am recording anyway, so hi.
Hi. I'm sorry. I was taking a spot sticker off of my nose that I forgot I had, and then probably that was a really good way to start the podcast. Hi guys, we are back. We are somewhat alive. Um,
Yeah, you know.
I'm somewhat ill, and Chris is recovering from. I'm gonna say no. What's not offensive?
I think you should just say what you feel like.
I was gonna
It'll
say
make
a
me laugh.
coma. That was why it was just. And that was
We
what I
we
thought.
probably can't call it that.
No.
That's
Um,
probably not okay.
a leave of absence.
A leave of absence, a low period. Let's go for that. That sounds like that sounds like I'm describing an actual period.
Yeah, I know. That was. I just.
It works, but it also sounds confusing. But a low period of time.
A depression hole.
Yeah, okay, that's actually the perfect word for it. Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Well, people won't know necessarily. People don't know currently as we speak because I still haven't released the episode we recorded. However, if I had, you would hear that I'd started a year with some real positivity, real burst of optimism. But it turns out that I got ill, and that stuck with me for about a month.
Oops.
And then life on top of that just really seems to slowly take it out of me. So my advice to you would be do not get ill.
Yeah, that's really good advice,
In
Chris.
either the physical or the mental sense.
Oh God, I've just realised, like, so were you still ill when we recorded last time? Or were you, like, coming out of it at that point?
I was still kind of ill then. I would say it only really got better just at the very end of January.
Yeah, you definitely had what I had then. I definitely gave it to you because that was, for
Oh
me,
no,
it
I
was
didn't.
like,
This is why I didn't want to tell you this because I knew that you'd start feeling guilty about it.
I mean, like, I was feeling guilty and then I was like, it's kind of just, sod's law, isn't it? It's just the way life bloody goes.
It's true.
But,
Oh, in that case, if you're over it, yeah, you probably did make me ill, yeah.
yeah.
But that's okay. I'm fine with
And the
that. If
worst thing
anyone was going
is,
to make me ill, I'm glad it was you.
thanks. Well, if it makes you feel better, I'm ill again. I thought, like, because I was ill for most of December. Like, I was kind of ill at the beginning of December and I got really ill just before Christmas. And I was like, okay, start the new year healthy. And now I'm fucking sick and it's the second
See,
week of February.
we came into this year thinking that this year was going to be the health year. That was a mistake. That was a foolish mistake.
Yes.
No,
Mistakes,
it was horrible.
lessons were learned.
The
Yeah.
only reason I know that I'm like properly kind of out of it is that I'm able to actually laugh without just sounding like I'm wheezing. No, that's not true. I'm able to laugh without sounding like I'm ill wheezing. Now I'm just back to sounding like a heavy smoker wheezing, which is normal.
It's difficult because I can judge it by, like, if I laugh and then I feel like my lungs are turning to paper, like, and you
That's
just
the
know
other
you're
thing.
about to start coughing. That's
Exactly.
so this whatever I've got now, I think I've got tonsillitis.
You seem to
But
have had
like
tonsillitis so many times.
I know, and I never go to the doctors about it because the thing is, if I book a normal appointment, it'll take like 3 weeks, and by that time, like it would have cleared up. But the
Oh yeah.
problem is, to get your tonsils removed, you have to report it 7 times within a year. So I literally like don't, unless I book an emergency appointment when I don't need an emergency appointment, I don't
Mm.
like, and I could get my tonsils removed, but like I feel like I'd just end up sick with something else.
You
I
would.
just
You would. We're
this
not
is
really
kind of
built
like
for health, I don't think.
no. So I don't know. I'm assuming it's tonsillitis. It might just be like I, d- I don't know. I
No,
just give up. It's definitely
that's
some
okay.
sort of infection because every time I get an infection, I get these weird like tingly stabbing pains
Mm.
in either my hands, feet, or like my back. So
Hmm.
I know it's definitely some sort of infection, but
So
like
you're infected again, eh? Great.
yeah,
Hey, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But no, I
Um,
agree because I definitely. My mum was like the whole way through when I was really ill. She was like, you should try and go and see a doctor. And why am I coughing? um,
don't, because you're gonna make me.
what a disaster! I didn't need to cough. Oh, she was like, hey, you need to see a doctor, and I tried like multiple days, and they have this thing, and people in the UK will get this, where you have to call up immediately
Oh, at
when the
8
doctor's
a.m.
open,
on
8
the
o'clock
dot.
exactly. And if you call
Yeah.
at 7:59:50 or something, no, bad luck. You were
Yeah,
too
you're not
too
getting
early.
through. You have
And
to
if you
time it
call
so
at
well.
like 8 and 15 seconds past, you're not through because you're at the back of the queue. So
You're
I
like,
kept
yeah, number
every day.
15.
Exactly. And by the time they pick up, they're like, so we don't have any appointments left.
Yeah.
It's an emergency, and you're like, well, no, no, it's not an emergency. It's like, yeah, so we can't really see you. I was like, well, can I book one for maybe a few days' time? No, I'm afraid you have to call on the day. Okay, well, this is
And
how
when
it's
you're
gonna be.
sick, that's the last thing you need to rest and stuff. The last thing it would be better if they had it as an online service as well, because I just, I don't
My
see how when
doctors
you're
did used to
ill and
have it
then
as
you
an
want.
online service.
Oh, what,
It
to get
used
the
to be
emergency appointments?
to get all of the appointments, and then they just completely took off, so you have to call them. The only other alternative, I think, is literally turning up there at 8 a.m. and standing in front of them, so they have to deal with you. But
Right.
I was like, can I not just book one for like a few days? I went to the walk-in center. Did I tell you about this?
Oh
I went to
no.
the. Maybe I haven't. I don't remember where we got to last time. Um, Essentially, I went to. It was getting really bad, and I tried going to doctors. That wasn't working. So on this Saturday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the walk-in center. I think now it's called like urgent care or something, but basically it's what was originally called walk-in. So you can just turn up, and it's not accident emergency, but you can
It's
see
like
someone.
somewhere in between
Yeah,
going to
exactly
A&E
that.
and going to the GP. Yeah.
Exactly that. So I turned up and I thought, right, here we go. And I walked up to the door and there's a sign outside that said, our apologies, waits are at least 6 hours to see someone.
Mm.
And I was there in the morning for this. Like I turned up not early, but like, and it was like 6 hours. And I thought, no, I can't. And I
Right.
was like, this is a gamble that oh, so
Yeah.
I was like, no, no. I got back in my car and I went to leave, and then I was like, what if maybe they've just left the sign outside? Maybe they've left the
Yeah.
sign outside now. So I walked in, and no, there's no way that sign was just left there. That was insanely overwhelmed.
I spoke to so many people who were sick in December and early January. Like,
Yeah.
everyone got hit.
Mm.
Like, all of my dad's family were ill. I think maybe some of my mum's family got it as well. I like it was pretty gnarly, and I feel like it's difficult because it was extreme enough that people having chest infections and needing to go on
Mm.
steroids and antibiotics, and yeah, so I'm not
But I
surprised that
definitely
you
got.
had.
I think I'd ended up. I think by the time I was trying to see go to walk in, I think it's because at that point I knew it had become a chest infection, and I was
Yeah.
like, please, dear God, can I see something? So they weren't. That wasn't an option because I was like, I can't wait 6-7 hours for this because it's just not like it won't do me any good to be sitting in this basically
With other
waiting
sick
room full of
people.
ill people and
Yeah.
people who might not be ill, but they will be ill if I sit here spewing and coughing the whole time. So no. Got back in my car and I was like, I'll go to the pharmacy because they won't be able to necessarily help, but they might be able to kind of like suggest something that can help relieve it slightly at least and make it
Yeah.
bearable. So I went to my normal pharmacy, they were closed. I was like, okay, so I went to a different pharmacy, they were closed. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go shopping, and there's a pharmacy in the supermarket. They were closed. Uh, and then I just gave up and did my shopping and went home. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll just be ill then, I guess. And then, yeah, it took a while to actually recover properly after that because it really, it really took me out, to be honest. I didn't work for the first couple of weeks of January, I think. I just had to take them off because I
It's
was like that ill. I was like, there's no way I'm going in with this. So it was definitely a weird one. It was definitely weird. Being ill was definitely a thing. And then, yes, I think being ill and therefore being, because it really wiped out my energy. I don't know if you found that. Like,
yeah.
I was just so exhausted. So that, and then on top of that, work was a bit of a shitter recently and like has been quite intense. So it just really ended up, it was like really burning out because you didn't have much energy, and the energy you did have, you were running out of. Um, and then other things along the way. So yes, it got a little bit depression hole like um during slash post illness. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm out of it, but I'm climbing out of the hole that I'm in,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I definitely that's sort of where I thought you were at.
I'm certainly trying my best. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but
And that's all you can do.
it is all you can do. Um, it is. Also, I just wanted to say that on a topic of you taking the spot sticker off your face, which I realized was about 10 minutes ago,
Yes.
I have been doing that thing recently where, okay, so the human body is fundamentally disgusting, right? It's
Yes.
fundamentally
Agreed.
gross in every way. And
Yeah.
for some reason, I every now and then go through this phase of being weirdly fascinated and disgusted by it at the same time. So I was watching spot popping videos the other day.
No, I
Uh,
can't do that. It makes me gag. It makes I don't know how people find it satisfying. It makes me gag. Oh,
and I was watching,
go on.
and they were doing some really like, forget spots. These were like full on like cysts and things. And I was just
Mm,
like, watching. I was like, oh, the body made that, but also, ooh, the body made that. How? Like, I just there's so many like, you're simultaneously disgusted and like weirdly fascinated. And I just can't. I don't know why. So I was watching that, but I definitely am. Whenever my body makes something weird in the like having a chest infection really introduces you to like a full range of different snot and various
oh
things that your
yeah.
body makes. You're
This is
like, ugh,
gross.
this is horrible. How did I make this? This is horrible. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, this is all inside me. Damn, son. It's very weird. So that's I went down a weird rabbit hole the other day of watching.
I like it's weird because watching videos freaks me out, but then like if the dog or Piers has something going on and needs help, then like I'm okay. I can get on with it. Like
Maybe that's
Pippin,
because
this
your love for them is enough to balance out the disgust that you have.
yeah, I think that must be it. And like if it's on myself, it doesn't bother me.
No, of
Um
course not.
yeah, I remember about a month ago it must have been. So Pippin has always had this like I always thought it was like a wart on his butt. Like not a wart. But
The worst
like
place for it.
a little growth. Yeah, I mean, like, and the thing is, you'd be stroking him, and then you'd just feel this little lump, and it was only
Oh,
like the size of a pound coin, maybe a bit smaller, but like
pound
he's
coin is
had
pretty
that.
big to be fair.
Maybe it's smaller. I'm trying to like think, like maybe more like. Yeah, I mean, but the thing was, it was there when we got him, so I never thought
Okay.
about it. And he's a big dog, so I was like, oh, it's just like, greyhounds and lurchers. Well, I don't know so much about greyhounds, but like, Peg has lots of cysts now that she's older. I mean, she's 13. Um, she gets lots of cysts, but I just didn't. We didn't think too much about it. Steve kept saying about freezing it off. And I was like,
Mm.
why? Like, we don't even know what it is, so don't like put chemicals on my dog. Like, just leave it. Like the vets have seen him and haven't said anything about it. So like,
hmm
leave it anyway. And so he's had it. We've had him for like 3 years, something like that. Didn't think anything of it, and I was stroking him, and sometimes I like squeeze it, and just because
No.
it's but there's nothing that comes out of it. It's just like a hard mass kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
not like, anyway. Uh, I squeezed it and it just exploded. And
Oh.
I didn't squeeze it hard. I don't even know if I squeezed it or if I just like knocked it or
You've
something.
clearly been squeezing it so much over time that it was ready to go.
It
You've
was
been
ready to
prepping it.
go, but like I didn't know it was a cyst. I don't even know what I thought it was. I thought it was solid. So then all of a sudden, like it starts like oozing this gross shit out of it, like fucking grim. And then I think Piers was like, "Oh, you should probably get the like actually squeeze it to get the rest of it out."
Oh.
Um, so did that, and then it's gone. It's disappeared. I'm like, for 3 years, he's had this little lump on his butt, and it was just a little cyst this whole time. And like, I don't think you're gonna do anything about. I've googled it for Peg before, and they say you can put like a hot cloth to try and see if that will. But
Yeah.
I think they kind of resolve themselves. I think. And
Usually they
anyway,
kind of resolve themselves with time, or they need like
or they
some
need
kind of
proper.
removal. And you
Yeah,
basically
I think
carried
if
out
it's
home
like.
removal.
Yeah, I did. And I think they say like if you do pop it or something then it can come back, but like his hasn't. So I think it naturally was ready to go.
Its time had
Um
come.
but honestly, I was like, what the fuck? What this is a my life is a lie. Pippin's little wart is not a wart.
Not a war. How did Pippin feel during this experience?
He did not care. Not one bit. The dog did not give a
What?
shit. Yeah, and Peg's had a cyst like um for what we kept getting it checked at the vets because it got bigger and they were just like unless it changes color like it's fine, we know what it is. When we were
Hmm.
first feeling it she was like getting all funny about it. Pippin did
Hmm.
not give a flying fuck.
That's a
So
surprise because Pippin normally has no chill whatsoever.
he has no chill, but then like he just hurts himself so frequently, I think that his nerves are dead. This morning, he smacked his head so hard into the corner of our, like,
Oh.
not coffee table, like, our hallway
Hmm.
unit, like we have our keys and stuff on. He was licking my bowl that I'd taken out of my bedroom and I put
Amazing.
on the side while I was putting my shoes on or something. He was licking it and I went, Pippin! Like that. I wasn't even saying it in like a telling him off. I was like, what are you doing? And he lifted his head up, smacked it straight into the corner of the table,
Oh.
walks off like nothing happened. And I literally checked his head to see if he was bleeding because it was so hard and he just didn't care. Like, he did. That's why I don't like. You're going, oh, bless him, all this. I'm like, no, he genuinely didn't even realize it had
Yeah,
happened.
I'm making a face. I went, oh, and then you said, oh, I made a face. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I know,
What is your
like,
dog?
genuinely.
What is your
He,
dog?
he has headbutted my jaw before, and I've been like, that fucking hurt. How has that not hurt you when that was your head? Like, he's got overexcited. He's like, lifted his head
Smashed
up.
into you.
He is, in fact, broken.
But
Um,
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Like now, I work from home 3 days a week at the moment, and he is so good. I don't know why he's normally an asshole during the podcast because like he genuinely doesn't cause any problems while I'm working from home. He sleeps in the spare bed, and that is it all day. He goes out to the toilet in my lunch break. He goes before, like if I go and make a cup of tea or something, he probably goes to the toilet like 3, 4 times during the day,
Hmm.
and then yeah, and then that's it. That's all he needs. Bit of food. It's just
That's
easy.
pretty good, to be fair. That's pretty good.
And I think it's because I kicked Peg out. I'd send her over to Pierce's parents' house because she gets all like antsy, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
he's just a lot chiller for that.
yeah.
He's not wound up by her. But yeah, so that weird that he's annoying during the podcast, but then fine during
It
work.
is. I've also realised that after 50 something episodes of this podcast, and I've only literally just realised it this second, but I should have realised it sooner. So many of the like weird lines that you and I have said over time have got stuck in my head. So
Really?
when you were saying about Pippin doing like being weird during the podcast, I was like, but it's Sunday, a day of rest. And I remember you saying that vividly in my mind, but I can't remember why. I think you were talking about Pippin. And
Probably.
anytime someone says something about Burger King, my immediate response
Bougie
is to
boy.
go, "Oh, you bougie boy." So
Yes, I stand by that.
clearly, it's having a real impact on my mind, and I'm fine with that. Really, I think that's fine. I think
Yas,
that's the way it should
queen.
be. Yes, Queen.
Yeah.
Um,
I just think of me in my underwear in the bridal shop. Yas, queen. When I get my
um,
alterations done, I'm just gonna be like, oh no. Thinking of Chris right now.
this is not
Maybe
what
I
anyone
should
was
take
expecting.
you.
What? So
Maybe
that
I
I
should
can be
take you
going,
for my
yes,
alterations.
Queen.
Just to like live through the moment.
Live freedom. Jesus Christ, what a disaster. But oh, that's a good point. We should talk about your job because before, when we last recorded, you hadn't started yet,
Oh,
and
I
now it's
hadn't
been like
started.
a month. So,
Yes,
your job,
it
tell us.
is. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'm happy. I can't remember. Did I say like what it was in the last episode? Because
Um,
yeah,
I don't remember, but tell people again. They might not have listened to the last one.
so I was trying to think about like I don't know if I am gonna share. Like I've decided on TikTok not to like put exactly where I'm working
That's fair.
on TikTok in case like I don't know, just in case anything weird happens.
I think it's
Um
good to be a little bit like not too precise about it for whatever
yeah,
reason. So I think that's wise.
I hadn't thought too much about it until like I saw people doing day in the life videos for their London jobs, and then apparently like loads of people got fired for them, and I was
Yeah.
like, this doesn't seem like something I should do.
I think you just got to be careful with how much you show, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no
so I
way that I should take a picture of my screen if there's like confidential stuff on there or
oh
stuff that's
yeah,
kind of sensitive. But some people are like just out there taking pictures of things. It's like people outside the company probably shouldn't see that.
yeah, I can't. I had to do. Well, you would have done it as well. GDPR.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so. Is that the right way round?
GDPR, yeah.
I was trying to the other
General
day.
Data Protection Regulation.
That's the one. And so the other day I had to send out NDAs, and in my head I was
Ooh.
like DNA, not
Yeah.
DNA, NDA, and I just couldn't. And then I was explaining to someone about it. I was like, I can't remember the word. It's just my that's I'm alright at spelling, right? And then sometimes the dyslexia kicks in and it's like, oh shit, I can't actually tell you. I can tell you what the word is, but
Mm.
uh the initials, the not anagrams. What am I thinking of? The
I always get this word wrong.
and
It's either abbreviation Is that one of them?
Abbreviation. Oh, wait, no,
There's an
Oh,
acronym, there's an abbreviation, and I
acronym.
never remember which one is which.
I think it's an acronym because abbreviations if the word's shortened, so abbreviation would be
Yeah,
like,
an acronym. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, okay.
Uh,
Uh,
no, that's not true because no, an acronym is if it's pronounced as a word, like NASA. But
so
in
maybe it's a
general,
different word. Because surely an abbreviation is a shortened version of the word, so like, no, I can't think of.
okay, I think all acronyms are abbreviations,
Okay,
but specifically, an acronym is one that you can say. So, like
say, okay,
NASA or like NATO.
right, okay. So it is an abbreviation,
Yeah,
but not an acronym. Okay.
yeah.
For some reason, I thought abbreviations had to just be shortened versions of the word.
No, so they can be shortened
Oh.
versions or they can be like, so like, yeah, it says here like FBI, BBC. They're actually called initialisms, which is an abbreviation
Initialisms.
pronounced by
That
spelling out each letter. There you go.
that's what I was thinking of, I think. Now I'm
There
like
you go.
doubting whether that, yeah, okay.
English lesson
Um
for everyone there. You're welcome.
but yeah, that's particularly where my brain, like, I just cannot unjumble. Like it might as well be gobbledygook. Like I just cannot distinguish between the letters at that point. If it was like written down, then I'd be able to, I think. Maybe not.
To be fair, we have this at work where we have so many. There's so many. Which one am I thinking of? Abbreviations. Uh, that are similar enough that you can get them confused, but they actually mean very different things. But for some reason, someone somewhere in our company has decided that they should all have like the same letters at the start. So someone will be like, "Oh,
Oh,
you know, blah blah blah," and you'll be like, "Which one is that again?" And it really does
yeah.
confuse you. So weirdly, I fully get you on the DNA, NDA, GDPR, whatever bullshit.
And it's stuff like, so I work for a university and like it's, so you have like AL, which is associate lecturer, and then you'll have
Mm,
GL, guest lecturer, and you like there's
mm,
things like that that are quite similar, but
mm.
they're, and then like information would be on different databases and stuff like that. I think I got know the difference, but yeah, it gets a little bit confusing, and I really appreciate. So one of the people that I work with have in their little signature. Is that what you call it? The email, your
Yeah.
signature. Um, they have like, I'm dyslexic, so don't send me a long essay because I will not read it.
That is very good.
And I was like, I respect that. I don't think I have the balls to do that yet, but
Oh, I put all kinds of things. I can't. What did I put in my one? I put in my one a reminder. It's something along the lines of I work flexibly. So in the same way that I wouldn't expect you to reply to my emails outside of your working hours, please don't expect me to reply outside of my working hours because people would send emails at like 10 p.m. at night and then be annoyed at why I haven't replied by the morning.
seriously?
And I was like, no, no. Like, we all work flexibly, we've all got different things. If you're there replying an email at 10, that's fine. I'll reply when I start work in the morning because I'm not
Jesus.
paid to reply to your email outside of my work hours. And
Do you,
you don't know why. Like, I do start later than other people because that's just how I'm comfortable working. So,
yeah, like with the working hours, when they were like, oh yeah, like it's pretty laid back, like as long as you do your hours, it's fine. I was
yeah.
like, you what? I was like,
But that's
oh,
pretty
this
much
is.
like us.
It's, I don't know if it's because of COVID or what, but I just remember before it was kind of like this impression that you needed to be there before your shift early, and then, if you got an email at 5 to 5, you're expected to sort of deal with that before you go, kind of thing. Whereas this is
Oh.
like my uh my boss now is like saying within our uh within our school, I've sort of laid down the law of uh we will not answer emails outside of our working hours.
Good.
And I stayed in a meeting past my working hours in the second week or first week, and they
Mm.
were like, don't start that way because then you'll end up getting a reputation for doing that, and then it'll
Yeah.
never end, and then you won't be able to sort of reclaim.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I really like that because it just means that they respect your work hours and your personal hours, and they are different.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I really like that. The job anyway, like the job as a whole, is quite cool. Like I'm going to visit a venue tomorrow, for where we're having a big show with the whole university, which is really cool. Um, and that's gonna be. Only problem is, it's like right after the wedding, the show.
Oh
So
God. Okay.
it's gonna be really crazy because I'm gonna be planning my wedding and this
Hmm.
massive event. My boss was like, "That's probably gonna be the most stressful week of your life." I was like, "Okay," but she's like, "Once it's
Yeah.
over, you'll have a great time." Um,
Hmm.
but like, it's gonna be really cool. I'm working on another project for the end of February, and then another one in May. Not May, March. Yeah, like loads of cool stuff. It's a bit weird being like in an office at a desk.
Mm.
Um, but then that everyone I work with is from a creative background, and they say like it's really good because you're not getting uh your creativity isn't being exhausted through your work, so then you have the energy to do that outside of work.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a good way of thinking about it because you're still working in a creative field without it directly being a creative job.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I get that.
I think it's quite cool. Obviously I'm only a month in now, so it'll take me a little bit longer to fully grasp my role and the highlights and the low bits.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's good and everyone's really nice. I get on with everyone really well. It's like quite a small team, but then like the depart there's like my team and then obviously the wider team, which
Mm.
everyone's really lovely as well. So it makes it nice and everyone commutes. So there's like just a sort of understanding if you're late because like the tube's broken down or something.
Yeah.
Um, you're not people aren't going to look at you like, oh, you're late, that's your fault. Like, no,
Hmm.
they understand you're in London and that shit happens.
Hmm. And
Um,
to be honest, that's the most sensible way of doing. I think I don't know if it is post-COVID or not. It's very difficult for me to tell because we didn't really do much pre-COVID because we were still at uni and things. But
yeah,
I definitely find that there's a lot more. Certainly where I work, it's quite relaxed about, you know, you need in your contract it says you need to do a certain amount of hours, so you should do those
yeah,
hours. If things within that kind of go a bit wrong for whatever reason, that's fine. Like if as long as you're like making it up where you need to, then that's fine. And by the opposite thing, if you work over your hours for whatever reason, then take those hours back because you're not gonna get. In my case, we don't get paid overtime, so it's like
yeah. I
you
don't
you
think
should
we
take
do
them back.
either.
I'm very bad at taking them back, but it's something I'm getting better at. I think definitely. Of my colleague actually taught me a really good thing to do. She was like, whenever you work over your hours, you need to keep a log
I
somewhere of
keep a
how
log.
many hours you've worked
Yeah,
and make sure that it never gets too. So if it starts getting too high, you need to like do something about that. Like you should be working out how you're gonna like get those hours, but because the worst thing you can do for yourself is to like write them off and just because you're effectively saying, "Oh, I'll just work for free for that bit," and
Yeah, of course, yeah.
actually, that's not really fair on you. Like, you have to respect your own time.
The other day, I got on an early train, and then I think was the train delayed? No, the train itself was fine. I then got on the tube, and then the tube broke down. Like there was a signaling
Hmm.
problem, so then we had to stop. Had to get off, wait, get back on the tube, and I was like, "Fuck's sake!" Like I thought I was gonna get to work like I don't know, 20 minutes early. I was gonna have time to go get a coffee or something like that, and it turned out that I was the on like 5 minutes early, which is pretty much what the later train gets me there for. So I
Hmm.
was like, for fuck's sake, there was no point in that. Um, yeah, what was my point? Um, oh,
Shit
uh,
happens.
I don't. There was something about I don't know now. Yeah, it's gone.
No,
Oh,
it's gone.
in
Oh,
other news,
ah.
I don't think I've actually told you this. I did post uh slightly on my TikTok. But I got my ADHD diagnosis a couple of weeks
Oh,
ago. A
finally.
week
That's
ago.
amazing.
Yeah, so it happened quite quickly. I got a phone call and it was no caller ID and I thought it was Healthy Minds because I'd finished the course thing that I was doing with them and
Oh,
I
the like
thought
web thing, group session. What do you call it?
yeah, the video call group session thing. Yeah, so I did that. Um and I thought it was gonna be about like next steps, but I did have that phone call, but that was separate. But this one wasn't really paying attention, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh yeah, for your ADHD assessment," and I was like, "Oh shit, you're actually giving me one?" And then they were like, "Yeah, next Wednesday or whatever it was," and I had it, and then at the end of it they were like, "Yeah, diagnosing you with combined ADHD." I'm like, "Wow, bloody hell!"
Nice.
And like
So what does that actually
it's
mean, like combined ADHD?
so they said so that means hyperactivity and
Okay.
inattentiveness, uh attention disorder. Yeah,
Yeah.
attention and hyperactivity. Sorry, but like they said during childhood I was presenting more with hyperactivity, and during adulthood it's now more inattentiveness,
Yeah.
which probably makes sense. I thought it would be more like still hyperactive presenting, but then I guess thinking
No,
about
I
it, I
see.
get why.
I see that. Yeah.
Um, because I guess I thought the stuff like when I start one job and then move on to another and then move on to another and move on and then forget what the first bit was. I thought that
Hmm.
was hyperactivity because I'm like, oh, lots of things to do, but they're like, no,
Oh,
actually, that's
no, no.
inattentiveness because you're forgetting. I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. But yeah, so but then I looked and she said, "Oh, it might be a little while before medication." I was thinking, yeah, I'm so shocked that
It's
that the
not
health
surprising
service
the
is.
slightest.
And then I was like, "Oh, do you have like a rough idea?" And she was like, "Oh, a few weeks." She
Hmm.
said, "But normally it's no longer than 2 months." And I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
wow, that's
That's
great."
that is faster than I thought that would be.
And then I looked on their website and then it said 6 months. But I don't care because I know it's like it's happening. You know what I mean? Like I have an answer. I haven't like convinced myself I have ADHD when I don't. I have it. And I think during the ADHD assessment they were saying they were asking about socializing, I think. And
Hmm.
I was thinking, I was like, well, most of my friends are neurodivergent, so I think I think everyone's pretty easygoing with stuff. Like if I interrupt you, for example, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm deeply offended now,
No.
and vice versa. Like it just we know that if we do something that's seen as impolite, it's not out of being rude, it's just the way we are. That's kind of,
Yeah.
we get the benefit of the doubt, basically.
Yeah. And I try and do that with most people, to be fair, is that I normally am like, is this person being rude, or is this person just not like it's not intentional, it's not meant with malice. And I always try and look at it through that kind of perspective, because I think definitely, like, you don't know whether people you speak to are neurodiverse in any way, or how they're, you don't, it's not like someone walks around with a sign that says I have ADHD, I have whatever. Um and you don't know necessarily how the same condition can affect two people. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think you have to go into it with a sense of always with the benefit of the doubt, but also it will become apparent to you whether or not the person that you're talking to is actually a complete dick, or whether or not it's, it's something else. And it normally becomes quite clear. I think, like you say, with us, we know it's never a malice thing. I think I always whatever my brain might choose to tell me about something, I know that actually, no, benefit of the doubt here, it's probably not even what that, it's not that at all. So don't stress. I agree. I agree is what I'm trying to say. I just said it in a long-winded way.
I know, I fuck with that. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things, and I think I saw a video today that said something about, you know, people joke say, "Oh, I've got everyone's got a bit of ADHD, or everyone's a bit autistic," and
Mm.
stuff, and then it was like, yeah, 4% of the population has got ADHD, or I can't remember what the figure was, but it was something like, yeah, 4% of the population does. It's just that um, a lot of people will have some symptoms of ADHD
Mm.
or autism.
I find it a bit with like OCD kind of things where people are very much like, oh yeah, I'm a bit OCD about this. I like it to be this way. And it's like, no, that's not. Hmm. You have this trait which is common to OCD kind of like things, but also you don't. That's, you just like things being tidy. Like,
Oh, and that is
let's not
such a
get it twisted here.
misconception.
It's not
So,
true
like,
that everyone with OCD has like I am probably one of the most messy people I know. There's mess everywhere. But I'm also, there's definitely things that if you were to like just watch me for a day, you would see these things where they are like the obsessive kind of compulsions to like do certain things, like when I go to lock a door or something. Sounds crazy. Whenever I describe it, it sounds crazy. But like if I leave the house in the morning, I shut the door fine and lock it. And then I have to make sure that it's locked. And so I'm like, okay, I just need to double check. And I double check the handle with like a rhythm to it.
you do it with a
And go
certain
like
rhythm.
da 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 da. Okay, fine. And it like I have to make sure, and like if something was to distract me during that rhythm of any kind, I have to start again. The whole routine's fucked. I have to start again. I have
Oh,
to get that routine
okay.
in there, and it's like ridiculous. I've spent far too long. And like, if I like start walking away, and then I think, did I, did I put that? Did I unplug that charger? Did I?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that's
oh, it's
probably
fine.
like the
It's fine. It's fine.
ADHD side. Also, see,
Yeah,
that's the thing as
and that
well. Like
really
sometimes
builds though,
things
and then I'm like,
overlap.
fuck it, I'm gonna go back and do it. But like, there's things that I do that I think if you watched me, you would see, oh, and you might not know what it is, but like from what I've learned, lots of them are kind of linked to the OCD side of things. But you would also look at me and be like, well, you're so messy. How can you have it? That's not
It's
how it
not
works.
necessarily
Don't
related. Yeah, so
don't get it
another,
twisted.
like, one of my friends has got OCD, and to be honest, like, I hadn't really. I'm sure I know people who've got OCD, but it's not someone who's like spoken about it so openly or discussing actually having a diagnosis of it. And I just realised from what they said that it was, like you said, it's an obsessive compulsive disorder, so it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with cleaning,
No.
and um, it can it's not going to be so much uh, as straightforward as if you see a rainbow, say like a set of books and they're out of order. It's not
Mm.
necessarily that you're going to be bothered by that and feel the need to
No,
change it, but it can be stuff like, yeah, like turning the light on and off a couple of times, or it's specific things, isn't it? It doesn't mean that it applies to everything. It's not. It's irrational. Hence why it's a
yeah,
disorder, I guess.
exactly. And
Um,
like that's the thing is that for some people, yes, maybe the kind of thing of making sure that your pens are lined
ordering,
up in a specific way, making
of
sure
course.
that the
Yeah,
house is completely clean. Maybe that is a genuine thing, but it's not for everyone. Um,
exactly.
so yeah, like you say, like I can look at I can look at my shelf now and see that my books are not in the optimal order that they should be in. And it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I'm fine with that. I'm looking at my desk right now. Shit everywhere on it, quite honestly. Fine with that.
Yeah,
But
it
if
and
I was to
yeah,
leave the house right now and go somewhere, I can tell you for a fact that I'd be there doing my routine, locking the door.
and that as well. So when you were saying about the door thing, I thought, oh, doesn't like I know that I typically double, triple check if the door is locked because I can't remember if I've done it or not, which is more like of an ADHD thing, but I don't do it in a certain rhythm, and it's like, yeah, if I do it in a different way each time, I'm not going to be bothered by that. I'm going to go and live my day. So there's
Mm.
definitely something there which is like obviously affecting you.
I
Um,
I think you're right as well when you say there's like overlaps and things. There definitely is. It's not as clear cut. Like you say, you can have the same kind of behaviors, but for different reasons, and I think they definitely intersect with each other sometimes to make it even more
it's
confused. The
really
whole thing is very confusing.
confusing. And I think the other thing as well, because psychologists are so like they're so stretched, especially if you're going through the NHS or something.
Yes.
Um, it they go by what you say. So say you go to the psychiatrist now and you've researched a lot about OCD, but say you haven't researched sort of ADHD or autism or whatever like else there could be overlaps with, um, and or anxiety in general. And say you go along and you're like, oh, okay, I think I've got OCD because of this, this, and this. The psychiatrist is probably just going to agree with you, I imagine.
Hmm.
And unless they see any like red flags, but they're probably going to be more likely to diagnose you with what you've brought to the table
Hmm.
instead of looking elsewhere. Especially if like my ADHD assessment, I had several forms that had to be filled in by various different people, including Chris, and and then I had an hour assessment. That's
Hmm.
and the GP referral, which I had to fill in some forms for. But like in terms of them being around me, that's an hour of their time. So
Hmm.
like it's very difficult to go through every different like
It
possible
is.
diagnosis. So yeah,
It's like
for
going to the
for
doctor, right? You have
yeah,
15 minutes when you sit down in front of them, or less, to
or 10,
basically
yeah.
describe to them something. And like, if you have something that's quite complex medically, and you only have 10 minutes to explain it, you're gonna go and try and present the big things, and you've probably looked into it online because we're all guilty of doing it.
Yeah.
And so you'll be like, I think it's this, and then they'll probably go, yeah, that seems to explain it. Good. Here's some things. Off you go. Because they don't have a choice because they're overworked. You don't have much time. You've come in with an easy answer. As long as it seems kind of sensible to them, there's a very good chance that they might just say, yep, seems to match. Take the pills. See you in a bit. And move on because there's not the time to give these things the attention they need. So it's the same with lots of psychological and mental disorders and conditions and illnesses that there's not the time necessarily to go through it. And I think I said before about how when I had the over the phone psychology,
Oh
psycho,
God.
what am I trying to think of? CBT stuff.
Yeah.
When they were like, oh, well, it sounds like you're more affected by the anxiety. And they were convinced that that was what it was because they'd spoken to me for a bit and that's how it was like seemed to be presenting because they was talking to me in that moment.
Yeah.
But I was fairly confident, and well, not I know that that's not true because the depression side of things is there. It's just that on that particular day, I was feeling particularly anxious. If you talked to me on a different
Yeah.
day, the depression would be there. So it's peaks and troughs, but I agree that I think diagnosing anything, and especially mental conditions, is it's very difficult to do. Very difficult to do.
Uh, but it is also like so important to get the right diagnosis
Yes.
in like because I think so for me, I I think I've been diagnosed with anxiety. I think when
Mm.
I was in first year of uni, um, and so I did because when he said that to me, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I had anxiety because when I thought of anxiety back then, I thought of it as being someone who's sort of nervous to leave the house or
Mm.
anxious in social situations, or I
Mm.
thought of like all the stereotypical things, and then I didn't think, oh yeah, I don't leave the house with my headphones because like I just can't deal with people. Um, and like, I mean,
Hi.
now it's more obvious. Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess I didn't realize that was the case, but I definitely think for me, my anxiety is probably caused by ADHD instead of it being like
Yeah.
a separate thing. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I know that so many people. I'm just talking about like my situation. But like I know so many people with ADHD who get misdiagnosed with anxiety and depression because during burnout it presents as depression. Um, and obviously like anxiety is a lot more of an obvious thing to recognize than
Mm.
say ADHD. And I think it's I said to the doctors, I was like, I know what depression feels like. Like
Mm.
been there, done that, and it's not that. It's not that. I am like there is something different going on right now.
It
Um
is very important, yeah, to fight for these things actually sometimes, and to push back if you feel that they're misdiagnosing you and like that, because
yeah, I had
it's
peers
important
with
to work
me
out what it is.
because I was like, I'm waking up every day exhausted, but I'm not sad about anything. Like, I don't sit there and think, like, oh, I'm better off dead, or like, I don't want to be here, or like, it's not those thoughts which I see as being depression. Like, it's not lack of enjoyment of doing things and stuff like that so much. It's more, I don't have the motivation to do anything. I can't bring myself to do anything. It's not that I don't want to do them. It's that I can't.
Yeah,
My brain is just shut down and I can't do it. Just not there. So
I
yeah, I
agree. It's
think,
definitely a weird one.
and I'm very privileged in the fact that I can verbalize that. I can explain that to somebody, and I think you are similar to me in the fact you're self-aware and you're able to articulate your thoughts and feelings in most situations. Um, and so you can recognize, hang on a second, this isn't just depression, this is anxiety, or this is OCD, or whatever it is. You
I
can
am
have a,
mostly, but there's like definitely moments in there where I feel a bit kind of ground down by it all, and I almost, I, it's like a brief glimpse into what it would be like if you don't have the ability to fight for yourself that much. In the So as an example, when they were saying, "Oh, I think it's just anxiety," I think in my mind there was definitely a sense of maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
mm,
Maybe, and luckily I have the right people around me, and I have the kind of ability to articulate it, to push back and go, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Actually, that's not. But like you say, it's definitely a privilege because there are people who, for whatever reason, can't articulate how they feel, how they see the world, how they experience things. They struggle to actually explain that, and so they're almost passed around to different people because it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Whereas, there's this thing that you have, but you can't put into words. You're right. It is a
exactly.
privilege, definitely.
And I know it like for you it probably feels similar, but for me, with the actually hearing the words "I'm diagnosing you with combined ADHD," it was like such a relief. I was like, I haven't made this
Yes.
up, and it's the answer to, like, I can, if say Pierce and I have had an argument, I'll understand, like, this is why I've reacted in this way, or this is why I'm upset, or like, so, sometimes I'll get really irritated, but it's not because of him, it's because there's lots of noises going on. But actually going, hang on a second, let me pause, let me think, okay, this is what is winding me up, and he can't see that that's what's winding me up. Let me
Yes.
just take a moment and think about that. I'm just using that as an obvious example, but for you as well, like, I don't think you're fully there with, like, the diagnoses that you want yet, are you?
No, I think there's things that I don't know about myself and don't know how to explain. So they're still
Do
there.
you
But yes,
think?
it's not been. It's never. I've never gone through any specific test for OCD in terms of like the specific questionnaires and things, but through therapy and things, it's been, I guess, unofficially diagnosed, you might say. I
Oh,
think, in the
yeah.
sense that
I've,
it's not
yeah.
formally been like the tests and things, but I like the therapists and counselors I've had have all said we're pretty sure that you have OCD as well. Um,
And that's
like
pretty
just in their
conclusive,
opinion, and
really,
that's
isn't
pretty
it?
cool. So I kind of I just there's lots of things I don't know about my own. I think the thing I think I struggle most with mental kind of things and neurodiverse kind of things
City.
is
Yeah.
it's very difficult to ultimately it relies on me knowing the words to be able to articulate it. And it and I
Yes.
don't always know the words to say, and I don't necessarily know what it feels like to be I know what it feels like to be depressed for me. I know what it feels like to be
Yes.
anxious for me. I know what it feels like to have these obsessive compulsive behaviors for me. However, that's for me personally. And so in the same way that I can never really look at anyone else and go, "You're depressed." Uh, I can't really do that because I don't know what that's like for anyone outside of my own head. There's definitely things you can recognize, and I can say,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, it sounds like this," but that's fine. So I only know what's inside my own head, and sometimes it can seem that one thing seems to explain everything. Um,
Yeah.
and then you don't realize the kind of intersecting things under the surface that, like the OCD side of things, I think is somewhat masked to an extent, or kind of comes under the anxiety thing. And so it's never
Yes.
really been addressed because it's like, oh, it just must be anxiety. Actually, maybe there's more to it than that. Um, I'm definitely not there in the sense of I don't. There's things I definitely don't understand or know about myself yet, but it's a process. It's a process. It's the same as with you with the ADHD side of things. Like it takes time, I guess, to be able to start understanding and approaching and dealing and all of these things. Um, and it can take years to get there with it. So it's a long, slow road.
I completely, like, understand where you're coming from with that, because I know prior to my diagnosis that I genuinely, like, I didn't feel like I could, I would always say, oh yeah, undiagnosed ADHD, or like, to you, but
Mm,
like, I don't think, I wouldn't say to, like, my family or anyone, like, it just felt like kind of dirty and kind of awkward, because you don't, you just, the biggest fear would be for someone to turn around and go, well, have you been diagnosed? Like, who
yeah.
said that? Like, you just, and that's so awkward. But then, as soon as, literally on the night of getting diagnosed, I thought about it, and it's like, so I have thought I've had ADHD since I was 18. I related when I was younger. I watched a Super Nanny episode with a kid with ADHD, and I thought,
Yeah.
I get you. I feel this way. I get you. But like, it just sat on the back burner. Never really thought too much about it. And then at 18, one of my friends got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was like, they had also been diagnosed with dyslexia
Mm.
before me. And then I was like, oh, actually, this makes sense. And then another friend got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm also similar to them.
Mm-hmm.
And and then but like, and up until the diagnosis, I'd spent 6 years thinking I had it, knowing I had it, but without having the validation and being scared to communicate the struggles I was having with people because of a lack of diagnosis that wasn't accessible to me because I didn't have the money to get a diagnosis and I didn't have the support in going and through the NHS path because I think you have to
Mm.
have a good support system to push and fight for a
Mm.
diagnosis, and I just didn't have that.
Yeah, and I was actually just thinking about your what you were saying about say I have it in my calendar. I was officially diagnosed with depression and anxiety on 24th of January 2018. But
Well,
I'm not going to sit here and say that that's when my depression started. I
started.
think
No,
it was
of course
there
it wasn't.
for so much longer. That's just when it got diagnosed. And I think, yeah, okay, we did joke about it a lot growing up, but
We did,
actually,
yeah.
like, it was there, and I just didn't have the words to articulate it at the time and things. But if I had, if I'd actually, it's like you, is that if I'd had the confidence to actually to to call it what it was and to try and get, then things maybe would have been different in some way. Um, but you do need that support system, and when you, especially when you're growing up, you know, you're just like, oh, I'm just sad, I'm just whatever, I'm just growing up. It's just how it happens.
Yeah,
A part of me is quite constantly annoyed. It's like, oh, you fool! Why didn't you do something sooner? I did it ultimately at a time that I guess was right because it was a time where I felt able to finally explore this stuff.
exactly. Yeah,
But
you do
yeah,
it as early as you physically can do it. I think that's the truth of it. You
that's the thing. It's never too early and it's never too late either.
Yeah, and if
Um,
someone says to
to
you
do
when you're a
something.
teenager, you've got like chronic depression or something, or like
Yeah,
whatever, some serious thing, you could then think, oh, the rest of my life's going to be like that.
yeah,
That because you don't have the sort of life
no.
experience to realize that there will still be moments where it doesn't take over your life, where you
And
do
also
have
to
highlights.
on that point actually about life experience. Not this is not an attack on you, but like when you're talking to people about it at that point in your life, and you're like, I'm really struggling with this, that, and the other, and people still do it now, and it makes me quite angry when you tell people things and they're like, oh, but you're still so young, you know, you're still so young, you don't really know what that's like yet, and it's a bit like,
Yeah.
fuck off, do I not know what it's like? I absolutely know what it's like. I'm living it. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely here living it. You don't fucking know. You, who are you to sit there and say, "Well, I've lived longer than you have," and I get sad sometimes, and it's like, okay, well, first of all, it's not just getting sad. Secondly, if you feel that you have something on this level, then go and seek
Get
support
help.
yourself. Let's go. Let's go and get that diagnosis. Let's go do this stuff. You don't have to be struggling alone. It's not actually a necessary thing to be
No.
struggling through. The amount of people that say, "Well, I get depressed sometimes, but I just carry on." It's like you don't have to.
You don't
That's
need
not
to, no.
essential. That's ridiculous. That's maybe that was the case when but you don't have to do that anymore. There are these wait lists, there are these things, but there is actually the recognition at the end that there is this thing and you can deal with it in so many different ways. But don't invalidate someone else's opinion just because you decided that they're too young or whatever to understand it. That's just bullshit. And I will never accept it, nor will I ever feel comfortable saying that to someone else, like, "Oh, you're just a teen. You don't understand. When you grow up, you'll know what it feels like to be depressed." Like, take that kind of attitude and put it in the bin, ideally. I'm not here
Yes,
for it. I'm
agreed.
not here for it at all. And also, one more thing. Um, you mentioned about stereotypes before about these things, like
OCD.
with OCD.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I met through streaming again. It's always streaming I mention. Called Lee, and they have dissociative identity disorder, which is what
DID.
previously
Yeah.
we would have like people would have called multiple personality disorder or split personality disorder, whatever. Um, the like official name is dissociative identity disorder, DID. And I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert. But there's a lot of dangerous stereotypes that exist around it that I
Yes.
don't think I was even aware of some of them. But actually, when you read them, it's kind of insane. So like, I've looked into it, and it's like, here's one. Uh, People with dissociative identity disorder are violent. That's the myth. And it's like, no, actually, there's no evidence of that whatsoever. It's this common
Jeez.
thing in like films and things that's like, it's like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, right? Like, oh, they've got the bad personality and that's violent thing. It's like, that's not really a helpful stereotype to have. And that's not
No.
accurate in any way, shape, or form. That's just ridiculous. And there's lots of these different things in there, these different myths that I don't really have the right words or understanding to be able to explain it. But there's a lot of unhelpful stereotypes about mental illness that actually don't let yourself be prevented from looking into things because, for example, if you think that you have certain symptoms and things of OCD, but you're quite a messy person, don't let yourself be invalidated because, oh, I don't put pens in a straight line on my desk, therefore there's no way I have it. Like, no, 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 no. Don't let that stereotype stop you because that's not representative of everyone. Some people have that, some people don't. It presents in different ways. It just try your best. And there's another one here actually. Researchers have found on average a person will receive up to 4 incorrect diagnoses before being accurately diagnosed with DID. A person may spend 12 or more years in the system before this correct diagnosis is given.
Jesus
It's
Christ. Yeah,
crazy,
that's
but it
awful.
comes back to what you said. It's a privilege to be able to articulate these things and to have the words for it. And we're very lucky in that respect. But I guess if you don't, I hope that you have people around you that can help you articulate it and support you in that, and have people there who can fight and push back a bit and help you not just accept, like with the ADHD thing. I've heard from you and other people about how men and women are treated differently, and because ADHD is understood as more of a male thing, it's not really understood in females because it presents differently, this kind of thing. Having someone there who can fight your corner and be a bit like, no, no, don't don't try and palm them off.
Yeah,
Here's the thing, it's important. So be if you have
100%.
these things, I hope you have the words, and if you don't have the words,
You can always
people
check
who
the
don't have it,
NHS website because,
there's
like,
loads of
that's
resources
what I
available.
used. I mean,
Yeah,
like, the NHS website is, it is somewhat limited because obviously they're like, if you are experiencing these symptoms, go and see the
no,
GP and talk to the GP.
exactly.
But, like, it gives you, like, an outline, so then if you are experiencing those symptoms, then talk it through the GP. Like, that's kind of,
Exactly. Talk it through with people. Good. And if it would help you, don't feel like you can't take people. Ask people and see if someone will come with you that you trust that can come to an appointment with you and sit there and advocate for you. Like with you were saying with you and Piers before.
yeah,
With
yeah,
the was
yeah.
it the insomnia thing where yeah, it was the
Insomnia. I mean,
insomnia
I do
thing.
it for everything really now.
Yeah. And it's that thing of having someone in a room that can not talk for you, but be there to support you and back you up and advocate when it feels like you're on a losing battle. it's really
Yeah,
important, and it's so useful to have, and it's a privilege as well. I understand that, but definitely see if you can find
100%.
these people who can be there to be.
We'll come with you.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases that might be more difficult, but if we're
I
nearby, let us know.
I don't
We'll
think I'll be
advocate.
able to fly to India or Germany
No, no,
or
no, 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 no.
but the thought is there. I'll
Then
FaceTime
again,
in.
you never know. Never say never.
Never
Schedule it
say
right. I'll
never.
combine it with a holiday.
Oh yes.
Take a
Take a holiday.
holiday and advocate for someone's mental health. Oh my goodness.
That sounds wonderful.
We got a
Shall
bit
we
derailed
move
there.
to
Sorry.
the music
Yeah, sorry. I
section?
got very into that, didn't I?
Oh no, I realised that I looked at the clock and it was like, I don't know, 8 minutes past one, and then I next looked at it and I was still talking and it was like 8 minutes past two, and I was like, whoops,
If that helps,
definitely
you
been.
weren't literally just talking for an hour. I was also talking, so don't stress.
Sometimes I feel like we take turns at like I felt like I was talking so much this episode, but like then sometimes you said, "Oh, I was talking loads last episode," or like we just like it works out. I think hopefully.
I think it averages out, and I also think that both of us probably overestimate how much the other person has talks relative to
Maybe
ourselves.
yeah, that probably is true.
There's probably some
So
guilt in there somewhere.
yeah, that definitely sounds about right. I'm probably just gonna go in order because I'm a
All right.
basic bitch. Um, so this is why by Paramore.
Mm,
Genuinely, if I hadn't seen that it was Paramore, I don't think I would have guessed until I heard like
right.
Hayley Williams' voice properly, because
Right.
it's a very different vibe. Yeah, like to what I was like expecting, but I'm guessing like it's 15 years or something since the songs that I used to listen to. No, maybe
Mm.
not 15 years. I don't know, 10 years. Something like that. Since like Misery Business and Still Into You and Only Exception, all of that, or all of that, like golden era. Yeah, but this was like grown and just lovely.
Mm.
Um,
I 100% agree with you actually on the kind of. I have this idea in my mind of what Paramore are, which is
it's
purely
like pop
based on
punk.
what they were when I grew up.
Yeah,
Um, they've been around. They've been around since 2004. And to an extent, my brain is like, yeah, it's in that old kind of thing of, like you say, Misery Business, all this kind of stuff. Um, so I have it, you have that stereotypical idea in your mind of what they are. This does not sound like that stereotypical thing I have in my brain, but I fucking love
yeah. No, like
it.
it's
Sorry, you're
sorry.
waiting for me to say something more,
I
right?
was yeah, that, and I was doing maths in my head because Misery Business was released in 2007, and I'd said
Yes,
like 15 years, and I was like, that is 15 years,
pretty much spot
isn't
on. Well
it?
done.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, like exactly. I think I've said this before. Like Hayley Williams has definitely got one of the best voices of our generation. I would say, like hands
Absolutely.
down, she's just like wonderful, and it is different, but it's still like wonderful.
Mm.
You're
It
expecting me
absolutely
to say
is.
something more than
We're both doing it. It's terrible. I think what I love about Paramore is that they're very, and they always are very upfront, heart on the sleeve. Like, this is how I feel. They've
yes.
always like hit these things dead on. They don't often kind of like hide, and that's really quite special. And they do it really well. You can definitely relate to a lot of it, and you can feel things when you listen to them. And I think they've always mastered that. And like you say, Hayley Williams has always been really good. Her voice really gives something to that. And I love. So I really like lyrically. It's not too much to it, but what it is, I love how the first bit, if you have an opinion, maybe you should shove it, or maybe you could scream it. Might be best to keep it to yourself. And I I love that because I've spent time recently looking at Twitter and things, and you realize how ground down you can get by other
Oh yeah.
people's opinions and thoughts and things, and how often you come across things like you say with this person, this thing that made you
Yes.
angry. Like, you're just like, what the fuck? How have you come to this conclusion on this thing? How are you so far? Why are you all being so mean to each other about these things? And like, it really, oh man, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot, and it drives it. And even in the chorus, I I actually looked at lyrics and I was like, oh, she's gonna think this is a sign or something. This is why I don't leave the house. Um,
Yeah.
it's a common thing, I think, for lots of people, regardless of whether me or not, where the outside world can feel so very overwhelming that you're like, oh, I just want to stay inside. Actually, I just want to stay inside because I can't deal with other people's stuff. And
Yeah.
maybe that means physically I don't want to leave the house, or maybe that means like in the online sense of I'm just not going to look at social media because it will only upset me.
Yeah.
Other people's thoughts and feelings on things that lots of the time you don't need to know. Actually, you don't have to know what everyone's thinking about everything, and it's not helpful to you.
Yeah.
um I just think Paramore always, and again here they've nailed the whole, it's instantly relatable, understandable, and the music that they have that goes with that is like such a good vibe. I think the chorus possibly is slightly more Paramore-esque. I
Yeah.
guess listen
Yeah,
to
I
it
get
now.
that.
It's a little bit, but it's definitely a more mature sound. They've like
Hayley Williams is still doing like vocal leaps and stuff like that are very
absolutely,
sort of her style.
but even
And
like
then
with her, there's lots of it that's more mature in her. You can tell that they are older than they were, that they've been through things and come out the other
yeah.
side, and they've refined certain things, and it's it's definitely a more grown up kind of thing, but it's like the
Yeah.
right time for that.
Yeah, definitely. And like, there's little like not tweaks, like little elements, like the little funky bass going on. Stuff
Yeah,
like that. Just it's nice and refreshing, I
I
would
agree.
say.
It's
Do
the
you wanna
Paramore you know and love, but they're a little bit more grown up again.
They are mature musicians. No, that
There
makes
you
it
go.
sound like I'm aging them.
I know. I was thinking. I was like, oh god.
Like
Uh,
mature student. That was what I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah. Oh, I could just go in order, but do I?
Gonna fuck me up.
Well, let's start with the "It's Been So Long"
Okay.
by K-Flay, and it's the Pluko remix. Is it Pluko?
Yeah, yeah. It's quite fun, isn't it? I'd
It
say
is very
Fluko.
fun.
It's
It's
just
very fun.
like it's like kind of clubby, but not like clubby. If you get what I mean.
Yes, I get exactly what you mean.
You can definitely bop. Oh, is it a bop? Is it a vibe? What do I go with? Bop, vibe, and
Banger.
banger. I'd say bop.
I'd say pop.
It's
I'd
just
say
yeah,
pop.
like you kind of want to let your hair down and dance in the kitchen. Kind of that's
Mm,
where I'm at with it.
mm.
Um, I don't like really have any sort of deep insights other than it's just like a very like fun, light song to just enjoy. Like that
It
is my
yeah.
2 cents on it.
I would say it's got a lot of energy to it. It's got a lot of drive to it. It's definitely a. I kind of see myself doing a run to this if I was still doing running. Um,
If I still enjoyed.
if I enjoyed physical activity. Um, no, I could see myself definitely doing a little run to this. It's definitely got that kind of good vibes. It definitely made me want to like do a little dance as I was getting ready for the podcast this morning. Um,
I like wasn't expecting this from K-Flay either because so I
no.
was obsessed with Blood in the Cut. Um, years ago, I like first year of uni, I think, or
Yeah.
maybe sixth form, something like that. I used to love that song. Not that I don't anymore, I just haven't listened to it in a while.
Yeah.
And it's just a very different style.
Mm.
That's quite like aggressive indie pop gal
Yes.
banger, whereas this is more like, yeah, dance in the kitchen, more commercial. Yeah, I don't know.
It
That's not
is,
a
and I
bad
don't
thing.
know the original song, so I don't know how that compares to the remix. Do you know the original song?
Oh, no, not for this.
No, I don't know.
Um,
But
yeah, maybe I'll
I
have
mean,
to
the
see
vibe I
what
get from
the.
this remix, I think it's a really well done remix, regardless of whether I know the song or not. I think it sounds, yeah, nice and it commercial in the good sense. I agree. It's not. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as a. It's quite mainstream. I can see lots of people vibing to this. Um,
Yeah,
and that's definitely a good thing. It works. It's a good bop.
and there
Also,
is
side note,
nothing
someone
wrong.
asked me to define something as a bop, vibe, or banger the other day. And I was like, I don't know how
Really?
Kat would define this particular song. I'm gonna try and find the song for you because I was like, I've not a
Okay.
fucking clue how she would define this.
Like, I think of Sigrid as bops,
Yeah.
then, uh, did I say Sigrids? Did I say plural?
I don't think you did.
Okay. In my head, I was like, did I just say Sigrids?
I'll listen back to it and see. I'll see in the edit. We'll see.
But I think of like Sigrid songs as bops. I think of like anything that's kind of verging on club music as normally a vibe, or if it's maybe like reggae or a bit like uh soulful or just sort of makes you feel things. I don't know. It's like a vibe, and then a banger is like you want to have that in your car and you want to scream along to it. That's like
Yes.
where my head
I
is
mean,
at
I
with.
feel like somehow I'm more confused by bop and vibe than I was a minute ago.
Yeah, same now. I
I feel like
realize.
for me, this is personal. Uh, a bop is something that's like more upbeat, and a vibe is
Okay.
not necessarily. It can be something that
Yes.
maybe is like
Okay.
laid back. Maybe it's just like a piano or like it's not got like the drive to it, but it still makes you feel things. It still makes you emote.
Yes.
And a bop
So
might not make you emote, but it might make you just want to dance and like
yes. Okay.
jump
I
around a
I
little bit.
stick with your definitions. That works better.
Oh,
Yeah. That
I don't
is
know how I feel
that is
about that. I feel like I've broken something.
no. I think that's kind of like what we've applied before, and that makes more sense. Yeah. I'm with you.
Slowly but
Um,
surely, we're making the bop vibe banger classification more
we should
official.
rename the playlist Bop Vibe Banger.
Yes, that's
What?
such a good idea.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck
sometimes I
yes.
do that.
Jesus.
Okay, I will mix it up and I'll go with I Like Trains, the Spectacle.
Unexpected. Okay.
This this was like driving me insane because I was like, this sounds like someone I know, and I don't know if it's the editors, but it could be the editors. But then
Oh,
I was thinking about it, and I swear the editors are from Birmingham, and I looked at it. I looked it up, and these guys are from Leeds. So how would they sound similar when they'd have different accents? Yeah, I know the sound, and I just couldn't put a finger on it. Did they have a similar effect with you?
yeah, there's still this song at the very start. I cannot place it for the life of me. And one day I'll find it, and it just reminds me so vividly of another song. But for reasons that I cannot work out. So one day it will come back to me. Yeah,
Worked it out.
go on.
Sports team, I think. Sports team, here's the thing. Check that out. I think it might be that.
All right. Whilst I'm checking it out, do you want to tell me what you thought of the song?
I was so distracted. Right, I'm gonna get the lyrics up. Um, Jesus, this is deeper than I thought it was. Sorry, just so like everyone's in the loop with what I'm reading. Um, all for the love of God and cash in hand payments, an insane one line question for engagement you can. It goes on to say like because God loves a winner. You're like, ooh, that's quite
It's a good
deep.
thing I didn't send you the video for this.
No, I haven't
Because
seen the
that's
video.
I will I'll send it to you
I,
now, and maybe you want to just like skim through. It might be interesting to you. Um,
okay.
there you go. I put it in the Discord. Um,
Oh, I've got. Oh,
it's
Jesus, that's loud.
it's definitely
Sorry.
got a lot of like anger there, you know?
Yeah, I think what probably happened was when I listened to it a couple of times, but like I just sometimes get so caught up on one aspect that I like ignore.
No, I
Bear in
like
mind
that.
I've done 2 degrees in music. I should be able to fucking
No, I
separate.
like that. I feel like we bring different parts to this. It's always good. What was the bit? Was the
I
bit you focused on the fact it sounded like the editors?
wait, it not even just the editors, but it just sounded like a band I knew. Not that like it just had something in it that was just similar. The voice, the accent, something was just killing me, and I just couldn't like work out. I've said, did you listen to the sports team song?
I did. I just listened to it. I do hear a bit of that, definitely.
A bit of it. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, this.
It's still not the one I'm thinking of. I don't know what the one I'm thinking of is.
I'm watching this video. It's quite crazy.
It's well, it's okay. So I found it a few, possibly before the new year. Actually, it was the same time I found the uh Kid Capici Bob
Oh
Dylan
yeah.
song that we talked about. Um,
Oh yeah.
I think at the time I was feeling just particularly like I was just looking for angry things. I was feeling like I needed to like get some anger out, and I needed something that was angry and also political, and this fit the bill very well. Um, I really like their music in general. Actually, I've listened to a lot more of it. It's very. I think you can go definitely two ways, and if you don't really listen to the lyrics
Oops.
musically, I think it's very interesting. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
to like enjoy about the sounds that they use and their kind of everything, and the fact that they kind of lead. I'm gonna say singer, even though it's more of like a spoken thing rather than like singing per se. But like I'm gonna say I think his voice is
Yeah.
like I find it really interesting actually, and I enjoy the like it just adds this good layer. The whole thing works very well. If you listen to it lyrically, um, it's very relatable to someone who's constantly angry about the state of fucking politics and things.
Yeah.
And can have a good like anger about it. And their videos are kind of like such like art piece kind of thing. Um, I think they're really awesome. Actually, I really enjoy their music. I
Mm.
like the what is it? We've been so preoccupied with what one man who lived 2,000 years ago would say or do in any given situation, which I really fucking like because I'm like, I know there are people who are like, well, like such and such would never do that. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't have iPhones or
Yeah.
coronavirus, so like maybe fuck off and let's try and be a bit more
Exactly.
inventive. And what is it? They carve it in stone, they take it as read, and the public gets what the public expects to get. Um, which I think is probably true for a lot of things, and that I think we all have this, or we can often have this expectation of I deserve bad things to happen to me, or I have to stay in a certain situation because this is how it always will be, and this is how you know life has to be, or think about the depression thing we were talking about and how people are like, well, I've always been sad, so just get over it. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. you can have so much more than that. It can be better than that. It doesn't have to be that way. If you're
Yeah.
determined to see the world only as a continuation of what's already happened, then yeah, things are gonna be shit because you're just expecting it will stay that way. If you try to actually push for things to be better, if you actually step outside of that thing and like don't just accept everything as being it is what it is and we should never change anything, then you can change things. Things can be better. I've not explained that really badly, but
No,
it's
no, no,
definitely that
no.
thing of
That
like
completely makes sense. Yeah, like if you convince yourself that nothing's ever gonna get better, then like
there's a good chance it will forever stay that way, you know? Like
you're kind of condemning yourself to like
if I convince myself that my
worsening.
desk is always going to be messy and consequently I never tidy my desk, then it is true that
Yeah,
what will happen in the end is that my desk is still messy.
exactly.
But if I
Yeah, and I
try and improve that, there's a very good chance that it will be less messy because I'm, you know, changing it.
I think with this song as well, like just as a whole with sort of political musicians, political bands, it's
Hmm.
so it's so impressive that you're able to convey your thoughts musically and still do it in a musical way, in an interesting way,
Absolutely.
instead of it being like because you can do poetry or you can write lyric, but putting it to music and still having it as being something that's interesting without the lyrics is great. Like I think that's really impressive and
I agree.
um yeah.
I think not all music has to say something. Some music can just be
It,
bops, throwaway
yeah.
stuff, and that's fine. And I also love it when a song is really deep and has lots of things to it. There's a place for it all, and I love it all. And I'll hit you up with another song.
Yeah, you do that.
Well, if you've mixed it up, I'll mix it up. So let's go for "Sick" by Emerald Osagi.
Her
I
voice.
definitely said that wrong, but I'm gonna stick with it. Yes, her voice. Oh man,
Oh, oh,
this song
um,
is beautiful, actually.
oh. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, so I heard her on TikTok. Um, I think I heard like 5 seconds of her voice. She was
Mm,
writing a song. I heard like 5 seconds, like, oh, I'm in love. I'm in love.
mm.
Um, and that was what I was like. I just need to hear your like voice. I just need to hear more of it. And then I was like, this music is so well put together and just timeless. I think that's like one of the big
Mm.
things that gets me with it is that you could tell me this came out 20 years ago or whenever and I would believe you. Like it's but then it's like modern production and stuff, but it's something that's gonna age well. It's just
Absolutely.
oh
I think
oh
if you were to take the voice and like if you were to so obviously like you say the production is very modern. If you were to try and like do it in a older style and maybe like use more whatever like change the instruments up and use more like real instruments. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
yeah
you could definitely be convinced that this could have been made 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Like
yeah
it just the voice itself is such that it would work in all of those things. I feel like she could honestly like sing me to sleep and I'd be like comforted, you know? I feel like just like singing, I'd be like, oh, I feel okay. I feel like
and
at
that the
peace.
weird thing is the lyrics do not reflect the vibe it's putting out. Like I was like listening to this in the bath, and I was like, oh, it's so relaxing. And then it's like, oh, actually, this is a little bit depressing.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it's not because it's like reflective. I'm guessing on a past relationship. Is that what vibe you were getting?
I think so.
Yeah, a
I think
story of
it's
us as a fiction. Not yeah, that would suggest it's a relationship.
yeah.
That. you know, someone's mistreated her, lied, betrayed, like all of these things. And she kept quiet, she kept her head down, and now I think that she's out of that situation. She's able to, this is providing that this is a true story. She's then able to write about that and use her music to, I guess, heal. That's maybe.
Yeah, I can see
And
that for sure, and
like the shame of, how did I let myself get treated that way?
yes,
Why did I stay quiet? Like, how there's a little bit of like anger in the lyrics. You wouldn't. It's
yes,
so beautiful that you don't hear that, but then you can hear it through the words, which I think is
absolutely.
it's just such a, oh, just love this song.
I'm
I love
100%
her,
there with you.
and I, I think she kind of reminds me a bit of Nora Jones.
Yeah, I see that.
Um, where yeah, she could be singing about anything and you still just like sort of mesmerized.
Yeah, I think a little bit as well. Is it Celeste? Do you know Celeste?
Yes, 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 yes.
Same kind of feel. Same kind of feel. I find that kind
Yeah,
of voice that definitely is. Yeah, and I 100% get you. I think it's very. Oh, I think we've all been there to an extent. We've said it before. That like I wrote this story of us as a fiction novel, is anticipating it to be reality, and all the time I had the wrong pieces to our puzzle, and that's just not what I thought it would be. Like everyone's had that thing of being blinded to someone's real, true colors, if you will, and kind of
yeah,
being swept away in the idea of them, in the idea of the relationship, and the idea of what it could be. That you know, you see all the red flags, but you don't see them, and then it's only later down the line as things start to wear off that you're suddenly like, oh shit, there's so much that's wrong here. But I was so blind to it because the idea of this, the idea of how good it could be was so seductive that you don't see it for what it is.
yes.
And it does. It makes you angry when she's singing, "You mistreated me, you lied to me, betrayed and stole my confidence." And it's like, what the fuck? Who did like it makes me want to be like, who did this to you? Tell us and we'll go and
Yeah,
destroy them.
we'll go
Like
and
what
yeah.
the hell?
You're a
But
sweetie pie, so we're gonna
yes,
go and break their kneecaps for you.
exactly that. Exactly that. It really, you feel it. This is a vibe. There you go. This is definitely a
Exactly,
vibe
that
in
is a
that thing
vibe.
of you feel it,
Yeah,
you're emoting with it, and it's so beautiful but so sad and heartbreaking at the same time.
and so she's got a few other songs out. However, from what I've seen on TikTok, she is working on a lot of other songs that she's gonna hopefully release. So definitely, and she's upcoming. Like, you know, how many? So she's got 11,000 monthly listeners, which is
Good,
good
very
going.
good.
Um, but she is one to watch out for. I think she's gonna
Well,
hit the big time, make the big
I am
time of that
sure that we will talk about her again in that case.
again. Oh yeah, 100%. I have my little spidey senses about her. Um, yeah.
I trust your spidey senses. They're usually right.
With me, yeah, that is like my little. I tend to like look at Katie Baser for example.
I know.
Bloody hell,
Fucking smashing it.
you cannot, yeah. Or Tom Grennan, or yeah. Anyway, um, right. Moving on. Who have I got to give to you to hit you up with? Oh, you've got one song left. The Grand Optimist by City and Colour. Um,
Yeah.
sorry. So I put down, what did I put down? Sorry, I have my notes on the side. The vocals kind of similar to Nothing But Thieves and Hosier. Do you get that?
Oh, I see that. Okay, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Definitely more of the vocals with Nothing But Thieves. Don't come into this expecting like a
oh,
heavy
Oh yeah, vocal like Connor. What's his name? I've done this before. I can never remember his last name, but Connor.
Yes.
From Nothing that yeah, I think a
But
common a
vocally, I agree. Absolutely.
hybrid.
Yeah.
Vocally, Nothing But Thieves and Hosier. It's like a very like gentle acoustic guitar, and then I think in the chorus you've got a little bit more going on. There's a bit more like dissonance. Is it like an old piano or
Mm,
something that comes in?
mm.
Um, and yeah, I think it's very simple, the structure of the song and the instrumentation, but I think it works in a similar way to say Hosier, where it's like I think Hosier tends to go a little bit more ham on the instrumentation and production. Don't die, dog. But sometimes you need the minimalistic approach as well. And I think this is just like a very lovely example of that. There you go. That's my.
I agree, and I think people might know they might not listen to this and that, but if you listen to The Girl, also by City, it's the same band. If you listen to that, you'll probably know that song. Lots of people will definitely probably know that song. Um, I find it again. This is another one of those ones that's very like. It's odd where I put it in a playlist, I guess, because it's like surrounded by different. All of my songs are quite different this week, but
Oh, it's good to have that.
yeah, yeah,
I
I
I,
agree. It is.
I like the is it oxymoron where it's
Um,
saying
yeah, like
oh no like
juxtaposition.
juxtaposition. There you go.
Yeah.
We're so in sync. What's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oxymoron? Why was I thinking of that?
Um, I think it's similar, but I can't remember.
But like the first, I don't know if it is. I love the like I am a jack of all trades who's a master at none. Because I
Yes.
definitely feel like that sometimes. Like, I'm sure you'll relate to like being able to play lots of different instruments, but then not actually being like
Yes.
particularly amazing at any of them. Like, which
So
feels kind of meh, you know?
for the English lesson for you, a juxtaposition is like just like two things, ideas, words, phrases,
Contradicting.
whatever that contradict each other. An oxymoron is specifically within the same sentence.
Okay.
I really like this. I like the. It's not too long a song in lyrically. Um, it's definitely another one that you can kind of get lost in and just kind of switch off
Yeah.
and vibe for a bit. It's yeah, I just find the whole that vibe of just there with your guitar just like playing away. It kind of works in so many different environments, right? Like you can
Yeah.
imagine playing it by the sea or like on a rainy day at home or like a sunny day. And it's like you can just imagine there's so many different places you can imagine it and feel it and vibe with it. Um,
Definitely.
and I find it also very relatable. The kind of like the idea of having someone who, not my father, not you, but like someone who is like the grand optimist, the person who looks at it and sees always the you know tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow it's a one day thing. It none
I
of this
can't
will
see your
last
dad being
forever.
that person.
And then no, absolutely not. And then in contrast to that, you have people who are like definitely a lot more negative, and I get that vibe. Definitely, there are people I speak to where they're like constantly positive, constantly optimistic, and I often can
Yeah.
be there a bit more pessimistic, and it's a strange feeling sometimes to be. You can't help but feel a bit guilty as someone who's more pessimistic because I think you like the idea of the hope this person has, but you just can't ever see it being a reality.
I don't think people are
Um,
born pessimistic. I think that people are tend to be born either realistic or optimistic, and then the world wears them down, and then
yes.
they
I mean, I actually
become
heard it said once that one of my therapist said it wasn't. I wasn't pessimistic. I was idealistic, in the sense of
Idealistic, yeah, and then people let you
actually I
down.
had a lot of good ideas about how things should be or could be, and it's the facts that reality doesn't match that, which is what
Yeah,
it brings me back down, because I constantly have a very clear idea of how things could be better, how things should be better, how they would be if I did it. Um, and then when it doesn't work out like that, I'm a bit like, well, fuck, this is shit
yeah.
in comparison. Um, anyway, that's a little insight into my brain there at the same time. I love the song.
Oh yeah,
And
I forgot we were
I will
talking about a
say
song. Oopsies.
thank you to my friend Passy for showing me this one.
You
He
are a
played on
good
guitar.
person.
Very nice. Loved it. All right, do you want me to hit you up
Yes,
before I start
and this is going to
rambling
be a
again?
nice big surprise.
Now, this song, Hard Day's Love by Lily Moore.
Yes.
This
So
song, wow,
you like it?
I love it. I
So
love it.
have I talked about Lily Moore on the podcast before?
We have talked about Lily Moore a while ago, I believe.
Do you
Um,
know any significance of Lily Moore from what I've said? If you remember anything, because I don't know if I've said it or not to you.
uh, no, no, I don't.
Okay, so Lily Moore did a cover of God Only Knows by the Beach Boys, and that's gonna
Okay.
be mine and Pierce's first dance. It's gonna be our wedding song.
Oh,
Because I heard it and I was like, fuck me, I love Lily Moore. And then I was like, oh, well, I know who loves the Beach Boys. I know who went to New York to go and see the Beach Boys. And I thought, this is like the perfect. Like, not that I like the Beach Boys too, like,
yeah.
but Piz loves the Beach Boys, so like, I was like, this is a perfect combination, and like, but anyway, like, I loved Lily Moore before that, but I think her songs like tend to be quite um dark, beautiful, heartbreaking. So yeah, so like the God Only Knows cover was actually quite like it was good because it was something that could be not sad.
Yes.
Right, Hard Day's Love. Sorry, that was a really weird tangent.
No, I
Um,
enjoyed it.
right, did you pick up on the backing vocals by any chance?
Oh, um,
Sorry,
no,
I'm
I don't
testing you
think I
here.
did.
Okay, so I think it's the
Not in
backing
this song.
vocals. It might, let me just listen. Yeah, so I don't know if it's sampled or if it's just very similar to Monster, Rihanna and Eminem. Um, that like, God, I found you the monster inside of my head. But the
Oh,
backing
okay, I
vocals of
hear that.
that
Yeah, yeah,
are the same as this. I think it's the
I
same
hear that.
notes. And it was driving me nuts because I was like, there's something similar in this. And then, yeah, I worked it out. Thankfully, just before the podcast, I was in the bath and I went, I know what song it is. Because that was gonna irritate me for the rest of my life if I didn't work it out. So I don't know if it's a sample. Um,
I don't
but
know.
yeah,
I hadn't heard that. Uh,
it But it's just,
maybe.
I think it was quite nice because that's like Lily Moore, I believe, is our age, and it to me, it's like a little nod to our childhood. Does that sound
Yeah,
like? I don't know. It might not be as deep as that. It might just be that that was the backing vocals that like worked with that key, and I don't know. I just thought it might be a little nod. It might be a little like deeper
yeah,
little
absolutely.
Easter egg.
I feel.
Um,
Is this how you feel when I start saying something and you're like, oh, I'd not thought of that?
yeah, yeah, I guess so. I just like
Yes, you're so right. I just had not thought of that at all, and I'm like, oh. Yeah. I
It's things
yeah.
like that that just when you work it out in your brain, like it just soothes such an itch. Oh god, I almost started twitching then. Um, yeah, like I don't know, it just started. Oh god, I've got a little brain itch. Sorry.
So it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, sorry. Oh,
Is
I
your
went on a
vacuum
tangent.
in the background? Is that what it is? No?
It must be my computer fan.
No, I heard
'Cause-
something like beeping earlier and I was like, is that a phone ringing?
oh,
And then
beeping.
maybe yeah, it
Oh,
was like no?
oh,
Maybe I'm having a
because I've got
moment.
my headphones in. I might not, it might be Timmy the Hoover,
Yeah.
the the robot Hoover.
Maybe I'm imagining it. I don't know. I could be imagining it. Look, this song, I love it. That's that's the one. I love it. I think it's really good. I love her voice again. It's really I think you're right. I think she is the same age as us, and I can never really get my head round that
She
because
seems so mature. Like she seems so
yes.
wise. Like this song, she also sounds like Miley Cyrus in this song, which I've never noticed before. I don't
Yeah,
know
there
if
is a
it's
bit of
just
that.
I don't. So if you're like obsessed with Miley Cyrus Flowers right now, which like good song is doing my fucking nut in because I can't escape it. Try this. Try listening to this instead. Sorry, I love
Definitely.
Miley Cyrus and it's a great song, but like fucking
There's like a
hell.
little bit in there that almost feels a bit almost Amy Winehouse kind of vibes. In
Yeah,
her
I've thought
voice.
Amy Winehouse, but it's the texture. It's a little
Yeah.
bit of rasp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that her accent comes through in her singing, which I think a lot of people tend to shy away of.
Mm.
Um, but I think we are so used to hearing female vocals that are very soft and very like innocent. I guess
Yes.
I don't know, like very just clean. That's the word I was thinking of. It's like what's
Hmm.
the opposite to distortion? Very clean vocals. And so as soon as someone's got a little bit of texture in their voice, like a woman, oh, I'm like, oh yes,
Hmm.
yes.
And yeah,
Um,
definitely. You always when it's that little bit of rasp in there, I just like, oh, nice.
yes. And
In a
just because
non-creepy way.
I like, I mean, obviously I'm sick now, so I've probably got like a bit of texture to my voice, but I know no matter how hard I try, I cannot get a fucking rasp. I cannot get texture to my voice. So appreciate that because I
Mm.
no, I appreciate that in other people because I just
Mm.
think that's you know, I guess you're born with it or you're not, but I think some people train themselves to be able to sort of
Yeah,
lean
that
on
must be a
that.
way of being able to bring it out a bit more and use it if you have it there. But
I know
yeah.
like Tom Grennan and Post Malone and people like that, they tend to lean on their. I think
Mm.
with Post Malone, it's definitely like you can tell in his speaking voice that it's just there. Whereas I think with Tom Grennan, I think he like leans on it a lot more,
Yeah.
um, and you can sort of yeah, you could, and that is great when people have the ability to do that, and I think it's wonderful.
I agree.
Um, that was sorry.
No, no, it was good. I was just gonna say also, like, it's very sad. This song is so like
Yes.
heartbreaking, and I just like, I really, I love it. I definitely, I could see, I almost could see myself having like a full-on cry to this song because it was like, oh man, this hit me straight in the heart. Like, I mean, it's weird because I also wanted to like dance to it a bit, and I was like, I want to dance, but also this is so sad. And I just want to give you a hug and be like, it's okay, and it's like the opposite
Yeah.
of the sick, the sick song, by Emerald. They're like in that kind of if that's like looking in from the outside after the relationship is gone, and like wishing that you'd been able to stand up for yourself and not like do all of those things. This
This
is
is
like
the
you're still in
before.
there. You're trying to make it work. You're
Yeah.
desperately trying to make it work because you just want I don't know, you want to go back to that idea. You want that idea of what it could
I
be.
fix my makeup and carry on. Oh,
Yeah,
just like,
I'll just keep trying because eventually it will have to be okay. If I keep
yeah,
going, if I keep trying again and again and again, eventually I'll get the good ending.
yeah,
So it's like the both sides of it. It's like the still in it, desperate to make it work, and then the looking back in the Emerald song of like, hmm, that wasn't
yeah,
great. They work really well together, actually.
yeah. They definitely belong in the same playlist.
Absolutely.
Um, I think that's it then, is it? Am I
Yeah.
going crazy?
No, that's it.
Oh, it's been a good episode back, second
Yes.
episode of the year, and well, you know, we I think things are going to be a little bit busy and a little bit chaotic this, the next few months.
This year's gonna be a mad one.
Yeah, so I think like, we might not be posting every 2 weeks, but we'll try to. I guess that's kind
Yeah.
of yeah, it'll be something that we'll work out. At the moment, it takes me 2 hours each way commuting to work on it, but I'm only doing 2 days in the office, which is great, so it's not
Yeah.
so bad. So yeah, so hopefully it'll be fairly regular. But I don't think we're gonna put pressure on ourselves to like be regimented with it because that's just
No,
not what we're
it will
about.
be as it is, and we'll obviously try, but we're not gonna break our backs trying. I mean, take this year already. We're like we haven't really
It's gonna
recorded
become a
much, and I
monthly
definitely haven't even
podcast.
released it. But I know. But like, we do it when we can because we enjoy it doing it still, and people enjoy listening to it. So, um, we'll try our best to keep it
Yeah,
regular, and
for
if it
sure.
doesn't work out, I hope you'll forgive us.
Perfect. That was exactly what needs to be said. Okay. Well, we love you.
We do. Live, laugh, love.
I was debating whether I was going to say it or not, so I was glad you did. Okay, stay healthy, don't get sick.
Yes.
Yeah, we love you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.